Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, we want to talk about the hyperbola. We want to talk about the hyperbola. Okay, so the hyperbola is given in the form, is given by the equation y is equal to 1 over x. It's given by the equation y is equal to 1 over x. So, in a flash, if I ask you the hyperbola, I want you to picture this diagram here, the graph. That's the hyperbola. Okay, so this is the graph of a hyperbola where we have got four quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4, but in which we have two funny graphs that are not together. So that is basically what I want you to picture the hyperbola as. But we don't need to go straight into the sketch. We want to take you step by step so that we can enable you to find out how that sketch graph came up to be. So that's why I do have a table of values. In which table of values I have values like starting from -2 to x, -2 to 2. My x values are starting from -2 to 2. Now, how do we use our table values? We are now familiar with this. We simply substitute these values that are given into the equation that is given. So if my x is equal to -2, I'm going to say 1 divided by -2. If you can take your time, you can pause the video and do that on your calculator, whichever way you find it easy. But for most of you guys, you can do this easily to say when this one is -2, your answer here becomes a -half. And if this one is a -1 here, put a -1, our answer is a -1. If we take this half here as our x, we put it there, it becomes a -2. And if we take 0 divided by 1, 0, 0, 1 divided by 0, we are going to write it as such, but we need to emphasize that when we divide 1 by 0, it is undefined. Our answer is undefined. So if you go to your calculator, try and divide 1 divided by 0, it might write error to say that there is no such. In maths we say it's undefined. So moving on, we will later on show how undefined means when we are writing a graph, when we are sketching the graph. So moving on, to the next step, we do have our x as half. We take this half and we put it here, so we'll be having 1 divided by half. Our answer will give us a 2 here. And in this case here, when our x is 1, we divide by 1, our answer is 1. And finally, when we take our 2 and put it here in place of x, our answer is going to be half. Now, our next point now is to go to the Cartesian plane. Our Cartesian plane, let's draw the x-axis and the y-axis. That's our y-axis, that's our x-axis. Since my values are starting from -2 and 2, the biggest values that we have is -2 and 2 for x values. For y values, I have the biggest values there is 2. I write my 1 here, my -1, 1 here, -1, and -2 here. Now, let's plot these graphs. When I do have a -2, x is -2, y is half. So -2 and y is half is -half is somewhere around here. So my point, I do have a point lying here. And then -1 and 1, this coordinate is -1 and 1, -1 and -1. I have another point here. Here I have another coordinate, -half and -half. So that's -half and -half. Sorry, -half and 2. So it's -half here and -2 is here. Remember, when I introduced this topic, I was quick to tell you that the hyperbola graph is something like that. That is, I deliberately do that as a means to guide you now. Now that we've plotted these points, I'm going to draw a line connecting these points, thereby drawing or sketching my graph like that. Okay, so let's move here and do the same. We were here, and our next point is this one where we say it's 1, we use the 0 to say 1 divided by 0, it's undefined. So we do not have any values for this graph around this point 0. So we move on, we don't draw anything there. It means that this graph here doesn't touch this line. That is what it means. In other words, when it doesn't touch this line here, we call this vertical line which it doesn't touch here, we call it the vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptote. An asymptote is that line where the graph approaches, but it will never ever touch until it comes to infinity. It doesn't touch that asymptote. So in this case, we're going to have our vertical asymptote, since when we draw our graph like that, it still goes down there closer to the graph, but it won't touch. We also have a horizontal asymptote. This graph here, it approaches this line, it doesn't also touch the x-axis. So we have a vertical asymptote and we also have horizontal asymptote. So we have horizontal asymptote, we also have vertical asymptote. Moving on, we do have this point here where we have half and 2. So we come here, we find a positive half. Half is a number that is between 0 and 1, so half is here. And then the y-axis, this y value is 2, so I go there. This is where my 2 is, my 1 is, this point they meet at this point. And then my next point is 1 and 1, x and y, that's x and y, then we meet here. And finally we have 2 and half. X is equal to 2 and y is equal to half. So I have 3 points, and then these 3 points I can connect these lines here, and so these are the points that I do have. But what actually it means is that this line doesn't stop here, it continues all the way like that. So I'm going to put an arrow that side, and I'm also going to put an arrow this side like that. And once again, we want to say that this one is our x asymptote and this one is a y asymptote. This graph does not ever touch in a million years the asymptote. So moving on. Okay, let's stop here for this session, and I do hope guys you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more content to come. If you find this helpful in any ways, please don't forget to show some love. Cheers, and see you in the next video.